told you before, haven't we, with Meghan Markle, that desperate times call for desperate measures. And each week it appears that Meghan has to find a new idea to make sure that she stays relevant and in the media. But seemingly it's not replicated in those downloads for that much hyped podcast, Archetypes. Or is it? As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here. Nice to see you today as ever. Thank you so much for your company. You know, I don't know about you, but each Tuesday now you kind of dread what's coming through on the media, because you just know that, well, I don't know if you ever tune into podcasts or anything like that. Truly, I don't, you know. Too tight-fisted. I don't want to buy these things. I believe there's plenty of entertainment for free on YouTube. A little like this, you might say, Neil. Oh yes, of course. Totally free here. We never ask you to buy anything, purchase anything, buy me a coffee, fund my channel. We like to be free. If I'm free, you're free, as John Inman from Are You Being Served famously said. You remember that one if you're a little bit older. Oh, for the youngsters out there, they're all thinking, what's he on about, you know? Anyway, back as ever to your royal story. What I find fascinating about this particular story is this week, once again, Meghan Markle has managed to make it all about herself, you know. She invites these guests on and you kind of think, who? You know, they're hardly sort of A-lister big hitter names. They're the sort of people that will turn up anywhere, particularly if you know the likes of Jamelia Jamil. You know, I met her many years ago when she was a Radio 1 DJ. A little thorny, I would say, would be the kindest thing, you know. Tried her hand at many things, but being a victim seems to be the most profitable one for her. If you look at her sort of activity online, she's done everything, had every problem, possibly every bandwagon you could hutch yourself to, she's managed to do it. And a little bit like Meghan also has something of a distorted reality with her natural truth. Don't just take my word for it, check her out. But it's this particular statement that I find absolutely fascinating, as ever, from Meghan Markle. And it's another one of which she's come unstuck with, because she cites in this particular latest podcast that basically she was advised prior to marrying into the British monarchy not to give up her activism. Now, two things really. Did anybody know she was an activist before she got into the royal family? Anybody knew what she did otherwise than just having those wonderful opportunistic photo ops when she went to certain places, as actresses do? You get the picture? And what's interesting here is, who exactly? Who was this important person that asked her to give up this particular role? As ever with Meghan, she leaves a lot of grey area for people to speculate and assume that it's someone very high up. Perhaps it was just the makeup artist, or indeed the woman stirring the soup in the catering van on the set of Suits. Who knows? That's what Meghan does. But then, of course, Jamelia Jamil jumps in on the bandwagon too. Both of these women, you see, have a problem. They both dislike with an intensity the former Good Morning Britain presenter, Piers Morgan. Remember him? He dared, of course, to attack Meghan, saying he didn't believe a word she was saying. And on this particular instance as well, it's good to remind yourself that while she was talking to Oprah Winfrey while tending to her chickens alongside Prince Harry, she said that when she was bored over here in the United Kingdom one afternoon, she ended up watching the Disney film The Little Mermaid. And it was all about a princess who married a prince but lost her voice, and she wondered if this could be her. You couldn't make this stuff up, could you? But for now, you see, people are calling her out. And once again, it's basically, we don't believe you. You've said so many things that are totally untrue. Why should anybody now believe this particular statement? So as ever with Meghan, and more problematic for Spotify, unless she comes forward with some real proof about this high-powered person who advised her not to give up everything to become a member of the royal family and lose, as she calls it, her voice, then we'll just consign this to the usual box of fiction. I don't know about you, but I'm getting incredibly tired now with Meghan's sort of narrative of her own story. Wouldn't it be great if she actually interviewed somebody and found something out about them that we didn't know? But then again, perhaps Meghan doesn't find anyone as interesting as herself. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.